Hello there, my name is Declan Hammond and I'd like to talk to you today about the homeopathic management of psychedelic states. By psychedelic states, I'm wanting to widen the conversation beyond just the experience that people are having under the influence of psychedelics and introduce you to the idea that many people are experiencing psychedelic states without ever having taken a psychedelic. And we'll be looking at the management of these states here today. My background, I spent most of my adult life exploring non-ordinary states of consciousness through Tantra yoga, through plant medicine, through vision quests and ecstatic dance, through holotropic breath work and shamanic journey work I've done over the years. I have a private homeopathic practice with, over the years, many hundreds of patients undergoing spiritual emergency psychosis experiences. This is what I call soul medicine. I've also had my own personal experience of spiritual emergency and emergence that's really deepened me, opened me, and has really made me the person I am today. So to start with, I'd like to share a practice that's, for me, absolutely vital. It's become one of the most important practices that I use when I'm sitting with people in challenging states. It's a practice that comes from the Qigong tradition, and it's been spread globally through the work of Mantak Chia. So if you wouldn't mind starting with me. If you're standing, just allow your feet to be on the ground and your legs relaxed. If you're sitting down, just making contact with your feet on the ground. Relaxing your calves, relaxing your knees, relaxing your thighs, your buttocks, and especially your pelvic floor. Making any small adjustments you may need to make so your spine is erect in a relaxed way. Adjusting so you have a strong central axis. Let your tongue rise up to the roof of your mouth, to the palate, and inhale. And imagining you're inhaling not down but up. Imagining you're inhaling from your pelvic floor and imagining that you're breathing upwards. And as you're doing this, contracting your pelvic floor. Breathing until you reach your crown and then releasing at the crown. As you release at the crown, as you exhale, allowing the pelvic floor to relax. You're building up a strong breath in, a deep release out. We're working with the energies of the earth in terms of grounding. We're breathing in with the energy of fire and releasing with the energy of water. So taking a couple of moments just to align yourself and to breathe with this practice. This is a practice that allows you to stay present, stay connected, and strengthen your own energy boundaries. So breathing strongly in, contracting the pelvic floor, contracting, releasing, and letting the muscles relax, letting the breath relax. Fire, water. Fire and water. And if it feels right, to continue to play with this, as I'm sharing, because I'll be sharing about people in many, many different states of consciousness, and to stay present, staying connected is the central practice that we have in this work. So big thanks to Mantak Chia for his spreading of this Qigong practice, because it's absolutely an essential practice for the work that I do. So psychedelic states means people in non-ordinary states of consciousness. These are people who will have contact with other realities. Like they hear voices, they see visions, they have clairvoyant experience, maybe lucid dream experiences. They'll have communication with what they call spirits or dead ancestors, dead relatives. And typically they're very ungrounded, lacking a strong sense of earth contact. These will often be people who've come to me through the psychiatric services, people presenting with anxiety, with depression, often with labels like psychosis or schizophrenia. These are states of spiritual emergency. These are places where people have been traumatized, have lost an essential part of themselves, soul loss. This is the arena that we're working in, and this is what I'd like to share from my work with these people today. These states can be triggered by acute trauma, things like rape, personal violence, interpersonal violence, any intense distress like loss, grief, near-death experiences, NDEs feature a lot in this area. Chronic trauma, people who've suffered ongoing trauma such as war or torture, or people who've gone through sexual abuse or long periods of neglect in their life, especially in their early life. Mood-altering substances are often involved, but not always. The substance that come up again and again for me are skunk cannabis, psychedelic drugs in general, plant medicine ceremonies. People after the ceremonies are often left hanging, left in very difficult situations. Cocaine, alcohol, amphetamines also feature on this list, as does psychiatric medication. Psychiatric medication, there are many, many psychiatric remedies, medicines that can trigger states, delusionary states, psychotic states. Often the very substances that are prescribed to stop these states. Mood overdrive, intense fear situations, intense grief situations, intense anger, rage situations, and really intense pride where people just pop into an unordinary state. And also something that I've known quite frequently, people having an unusually intense experience, people who've started doing tantra sex training where they've had really deep ecstatic sex experiences and haven't come back down from it. People who've done deep meditation practices, people who've gone off and do 10 days meditations, intensives, and have come back not knowing where they are. People who've gone through intense fasting. People who do really intense spiritual practice. These are areas that can trigger psychedelic states, and it's important to mention them all. My dear friend, the late Michael Curry, we worked with many hundreds of patients together. He has some wonderful things to say about this, and deeply human responses to these states, given the right emotional, mental and spiritual climate. Any of us could find ourselves on the other side.